Hello, welcome to Jason the Old Millennial. My name is Jason, speaking here in my bedroom in the great state of Kansas, and I'm doing another ranking of a director's filmography. Something I like to do from time to time, try to watch all the films of a certain director and rank all the movies that I've seen, trying to catch some of the big directors like I did Steven Spielberg. I know I did Wes Anderson. I think I did Quentin Tarantino. I just did Christopher Nolan just a little bit ago, not too long ago. I did Mel Brooks, just a couple off the top of my head anyway. So this time we're doing Tim Burton. Yeah, I watched all 20 movies of Tim Burton. A very well-known director and very well-liked, I think, and has worked for quite a long time, I suppose since the 80s. And it definitely has a distinct style that you know a Tim Burton film when you see it. It's so Tim Burton-ish in a way. And he's somewhat of a quirky, unique director that has his own style, his own voice that is unique. Like I said, he's very dark. His movies are very dark in both look and in subject matter, I'd say. Very weird characters, very strange characters, very weird stories a lot of times. Very dark kind of humor in a lot of his movies. I feel like he kind of mixes a little bit of a horror aspect with sci-fi maybe as well. Some comedies are in there, uh, but yeah, so he just definitely has this very unique system. Personally, like I'm not a big fan of Tim Burton. Tim Burton is not one of those directors that anytime he makes a movie, I'm not thinking, oh, I really want to see that next Tim Burton movie. And he's definitely a hit, like a lot of these directors I've talked about. He is a bit of a hit or miss director at times for me. He has made some good films that are on top of my list, and then a lot of films at the bottom are just films I thought were a little too strange for me. I do struggle with movies that are just a little too, I call weird, I guess, take me out of the movie. And some of these are just very boring. Lots of bad adaptations of other movies, I think, and stories. I think he does not do a good job here for the most part. Though my number one is actually an adapted story, but definitely has made some really unique characters. Some really, I keep saying unique. I'm sorry, but some very iconic characters that definitely stayed with me. And anyway, so let's get on to ranking the 20 films of Tim Burton. So at number 20, we have Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. Very, very long, strange title there. This was probably maybe the second to last film I saw of his to make this list up. I'd seen most of his films, and I was trying to watch some to catch up to make sure I had his whole filmography before I did this. And my bottom two actually were the last two movies I saw in his filmography, and they're the two worst ones for me. This one is just, I can't even explain what the story was. It was so confusing. I think I couldn't follow the story at all, and it was definitely very strange. And I don't remember what happens. I was just so bored with the movie and didn't know what was going on that I just checked out really quickly. So it quickly became. I knew like halfway through that movie, I'm like, this is the worst Tim Burton movie I've ever seen. So yeah, lands at number 20. Number 19 is Dumbo, and you might. I don't know if you even know he did a Dumbo. This is one of the most peculiar ones that he did, because he did do some, adaptation of, other stories I'll get to here. And of course, Disney is doing all these live action remakes. Is very, very popular. This is one that just went straight to Disney, and it's a movie that I don't think any of us asked for a remake or thought we should have been remade. They've done that a couple times where like, maybe you don't have to remake every Disney movie. And a strange choice to have Tim Burton be the one to make this particular one. And I'm a big fan of the original Dumbo cartoon. Actually, it's one of my favorite. It's my favorite of the class or the golden era or whatever Disney. Yeah, this one was bad. It was, oh my gosh. And I think a lot of it is because Dumbo is almost like a side character in the whole story that's called Dumbo. They had to make up these new human characters to kind of, I guess they decided they can't have a whole movie based on a CGI elephant that can't talk anyways. And so they bring in Colin Farrell, and he's like part of the circus, but he's hurt, so he can't perform anymore. And he's got two kids that he's trying to take care of. And so that's the main story is Colin Farrell and his two kids in this circus. and the dynamic there. And then Dumbo, I mean, he plays a big part of it, and he goes through some of the moments of the movie, but I don't know, it just didn't work, I think, story wise, and just didn't work as, I don't know, anything. It wasn't funny, it wasn't dramatic. I don't know, it didn't have anything that the charm of the original. And the best part of the original was Timothy the Mouse. Timothy the Mouse was so good, and there's no Timothy the Mouse. He's what makes the movie, anyways. It's like having um, Pinocchio without, without Jiminy Cricket or something. It's like it's a must. And anyways, yeah. So this is one of the worst remakes I've seen of many bad remakes, anyways, of Disney movies. Number 18, we have Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. And I was actually kind of excited when this came out because I'm a huge fan of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. And it's one of my favorite movies of all time. And when they said we were going to do a remake of it, and with Tim Burton, I thought, okay, Tim Burton, he's got, there's some darkness to that movie at times. I can see Tim Burton doing. And then when they said Johnny Depp was going to be Willy Wonka, I thought, oh, great casting, because he's good at playing, quirky characters. I thought this was a great quirky character that he can make come alive. What they did with that character was so terrible. It was such, oh my gosh, like nothing like the original by Gene Wilder. Gene Wilder's, no one is going to do it like Gene Wilder, but I thought they'd come somewhat close. Instead, they went in this whole weird thing where he's, instead of being like loud and funny and just so much charisma, it's like they had Johnny Depp did it with no charisma, this quiet character who is very strange and not fun at all. Is none of the funness of the first one. He acts weird, and a lot of people said he acted like Michael Jackson was kind of his. Anyways, but I didn't. And that really killed the movie. Just Johnny Depp's performance was so bad as Willy Wonka, in my opinion, that it killed that movie. And just everything else looked good and everything, but just it had none of the fun and charm of the original again. So I think because I love the original so much, this is so low on my list because I thought such a disappointment. At number 17, we're going to Alice in Wonderland. This is another one that I was talking about. The way he adapts, again, he adapts Dumbo, he adapts Willy Wonka and Chocolate Factory, adapting Alice in Wonderland. I don't know, he does a really bad job with these adaptation. I don't know how to say remakes of other movies. Again, another Disney. I'm guessing that's why he did Dumbo, because he did Alice in Wonderland, which was a Disney movie. And so they decided they liked him to do Dumbo, whatever. But Alice in Wonderland is another one where I'm not a big fan of the original. I'm not really a big fan of the cartoon either. And it's been done so many times. And again, Johnny Depp as Mad Hatter is the best character, and Johnny Depp was just not the Mad Hatter. Like, again, he was so big at the time after doing Pirates of the Caribbean that he just, anytime he did a movie, we're all excited because, oh my gosh, John Depp's so good. I can't wait to the next performance. He gives so many good performances. And then he does these slew of performances that were just so bad. And now, of course, he's almost got canceled. And now, you don't see Johnny Depp hardly ever. But I think his popularity really starts to slide down at this point. But yeah, his Mad Hatter was so bad again, I think. And the quirkiness of Tim Burton didn't work with me. The visual style, like the Queen of Hearts has like the small head. The CGI just looked bad. And I don't know. It seemed like not even really follow the original story either. It just went on weird different ways anyway. So yeah, 17, Alice in Wonderland. 16, I have Ed Wood. And this is one that I've heard a lot of people really like this movie. And this is one I saw. This is one, again, kind of a later movie that I didn't see for a long time, but I heard about. Again, Johnny Depp. Of course, Johnny Depp's on all these. And Johnny Depp doesn't give exactly a bad performance here. He's fine. He's playing a real director named Ed Wood who made these horrible, like the worst movies ever made, like Plan 9 from Outer Space, whatever. Considered maybe the worst movie ever made. This B-movie director who became famous for being a bad director, basically. But it's interesting his relationship with Belushi, whatever, the Dracula actor. I'm forgetting his name, Belushi or... there's some interesting storylines there. Again, it's strange because, of course, the real life director and Johnny Depp in the movie, the guy likes to wear women's clothing, and that was a whole part of the whole thing. I don't know. I just wasn't into this movie about a loser director. I was like, who cares about Ed Wood? I guess that was me in the end. So it's here, number 16. Number 15, I have Planet of the Apes. Yeah, the remake, another bad remake by Tim Burton here. And I'm a huge fan of the original Planet of the Apes with Charlton Heston, of course. It's a masterpiece. And this is before they redid the series, and they made some pretty good ones with, like, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes is so good. But this is before that, with Mark Wahlberg playing the lead here. Now, the apes look great, like the costuming. This is before it was all CGI. Of course, later on, everything's going to be all CGI, but they were still doing costumes on the apes. And the costuming was amazing, like even better than the original, of course. I think it was like Tim Roth was in here. Paul Giamatti plays one of the orangutans, I think, in here, who was very funny in the movie. Actually, I thought Paul Giamatti came out the best of anything. Tim Roth actually did a good job as a villain. Like his performance is great. I thought Mark Wahlberg was actually really bad as a performer here. And this is early, I feel like Mark Wahlberg when he's starting to become a big name, starting to become a lead actor. But he eventually will do some good work, I think. But this wasn't one of them. And I don't know. It just didn't, it wasn't as good. The original was so good. It just didn't live up to that. The ending was so stupid. It was like, what? It didn't make any sense, the ending of it. I think that's what's the most disappointing part of this movie is the ending was just really bad. And I don't know, like, again, everything looked good, but just story-wise didn't work. Number 14, I have Sleepy Hollow, and there's not an exact reason why I have it this low, except that it's really more, it's a rated R horror movie. I mean, it is, a lot of these movies are more PG-13 maybe. Sleepy Hollow was very, violent and more horror-like, I think. They made, interesting, taking a short kind of story, whatever it is, a poem, whatever, and making it, they had to add a lot to make a whole full story out of it. And it's not exactly accurate to the original story, I would say, but they took some liberties there. But they made the Headless Horseman this horror-like character who shows up and cuts people's heads off, and it's a bit gruesome at times, I guess, and that's why I have it this low. Again, it's been a long time since I've seen it, so it's one of those I maybe should have watched, but I didn't want to rewatch it because it's not my style movie. I don't know, it creeped me out too much, I guess. It's a very dark movie, but again, if you like horror, this might be higher on your list. It's just not for me. Number 13, I have Frankenweenie. This is an interesting one because it's stop motion animation. He does love doing some stop motion animation, which I do like some stop motion animation, but I'm not the biggest fan of the genre necessarily. And this is a full life film of his first short story, which kind of got him on the map to start making movies. Is a short story of him wanting to resurrect his dog who died, anyways. So they made this movie, and to be honest, I just don't remember a lot about it. I just don't remember much about it or caring much about it when it came out. It was just, I don't know. The big deal was just that it was his original short story made into live action, or made into a full-length feature film. Maybe it's better than what I'm giving it credit for. I just, one of those things where it didn't stay with me. Number 12, I'm going with Corpse Bride, another stop motion animation movie. This with Johnny Depp voicing the main character who is getting married, but then he's practicing he's like a very nervous character, and he's practicing putting the ring on the finger, and he puts it on the ring of a corpse or something like that in a graveyard. He's in a graveyard, and he actually puts it on a corpse bride, who then is like, okay, now we gotta get married because you put the ring on my finger. And of course he's like, I don't want to marry you, you're dead, and something like that. And again, I don't remember a lot about this movie. I remember it was a big deal. I think it got nominated for maybe an Oscar for Best Animated Film. Gosh, I just don't remember enough about it to even, that's why it wasn't so bad that I remember it, like some of the bad ones. I remember it because it was bad. That's one, and I remember if it's good. That's one where I don't remember because it wasn't bad or good. It was somewhere in the middle, so I had to put it somewhere, and that's where it went. All right, so now go to number 11. This is another one, Edward Scissorhands here at number 11. And again, I should probably rewatch this movie, and maybe it will be higher on my list. I just was never into the character because it was such a strange character. This pale white guy with scissors for hand. It was, where did he come up with these ideas? And I don't know, I always thought it was a little too strange for me. Again, I probably need to rewatch it because I did watch some of it recently, and I did find myself going, you know what, some of this is actually pretty funny. Like I didn't remember it being such a comedy. So again, if you have this higher on your list, if you have it number one, I don't blame you. Maybe it was really good. I just didn't care for the whole this strange character that Johnny Depp was playing here. Um, and it was just a turn off, I guess, for me, just the whole style of the movie. Again, I'm not the biggest Tim Burton fan, so maybe that's why. All right, I'm giving a lot of these kind of bad reviews, but actually, my top 10, I actually like all these movies. They're actually fun movies that I actually quite enjoy. Starting with number 10, Dark Shadows, which is actually, again, one of the last movies I saw for this list. I finally got around to watching Dark Shadows because I was going to make this list up. And I was surprised at how much I enjoyed this movie. I was expecting this movie to be terrible because I remember I never heard of the original show. I didn't even know this was an adaptation of a TV show because it must not have been big enough for me to even know about it. But evidently there was like a British TV show called Dark Shadows. And so anyways, they make this movie. Again, you got Johnny Depp in here being a vampire. He's got the pale white skin. He's playing a kind of another. You think, oh, here's Johnny Depp again playing just a quirky character like he always does in all these Tim Burton films. And I remember the trailer thinking it wasn't funny. Like I remember them doing like the comedic stuff on there and thinking, oh, the jokes aren't landing. It's just a strange looking film. It's Tim Burton. It's Johnny Depp. Like I don't think it's gonna work. And then when I actually saw it, I was totally wrong. It was actually a really funny movie. I actually laughed quite a bit at the because of the Johnny Depp character being this vampire who's been, I don't know if he's been asleep or whatever, and he wakes up to his and he goes to his family home that it's been this mansion that's been passed down through his family, and there's problems with or they're going to lose the home maybe, and so he comes back to try to save the home, I think, or save the family. It was one of those things. And then there's this other girl that was like his ex-wife who's trying to kill him but also make love to him. There's some interesting things there. But the whole fish out of water thing where he's an old, he lived old times, and now there's all this new technology he's not used to, and him, we've seen this done so many times before, but yet it was actually done very well in this movie. I thought it was actually very funny, him discovering these new things and not understanding the modern world. I thought there's some really good stuff in there. And he's also a vampire, so he still kills. It's funny, he's kind of a good guy, but yet he still kills people because he's a vampire and has to suck blood. Gosh, I say one scene where he's asking, and he's trying to get advice, and so he gets his advice from all these young people. He's sitting around with these young people like at a campfire, and he's asking advice about some situation, and they're giving him really good advice, and he takes it and he goes, man, it's really good advice. Oh, man, now I gotta kill you. And he kills him because he's a vampire. I thought that was funny because it's like, anyways, there's stuff like that in that movie. So surprisingly good movie, Dark Shadows. At number 9, I got Beetlejuice. Yeah, definitely one is early, maybe really early film, and most iconic film and character and everything. I don't know if I really appreciated that much growing up. I think just recently I've gone back to watch this movie and really kind of enjoyed it. And it's Michael Keaton's performance is so good. Beetlejuice character is so good. His scenes are the best scenes. When he's not in it, it's not as fun. But especially at the end when he goes full on Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice is such a fun character. I love how he changes, and again, Michael Keaton changes either his accent or his look, and does a little bit here, different bits that he does during the whole thing. It's so funny. Yeah, great character. Story-wise, I don't know if it's a great story or if I care about the story overall. It is a good cast of characters, though, and there's a lot of fun to be had here. And again, very dark humor, maybe a little horror style to it that I think works for this movie. So this is a movie that maybe could go up my list if I watch it more. All right, number 9. Number 8, I got Batman Returns. Yeah, I was a big fan of this when I was a kid. I was a huge Batman fan, so I remember this coming out in theaters. I didn't see it in theaters, but I think I just saw it later on, maybe on TV. And again, the look is great. The design of the characters actually is amazing. like Penguin, Danny DeVito's Penguin is really, really good makeup work on, and Danny DeVito actually does a really good job as the Penguin. Perfect casting, and yeah, everything about costume and makeup is so good. And we haven't got a good Penguin character like that since, I guess, since the Batman movie. We got a more realistic. This was a little more cartoonish Penguin, but yet it worked if you watch the Batman cartoons. It kind of worked with the character. Very dark though, very disturbing at times kind of character. And also Catwoman. I don't know if this is a hot take. I think it's probably the best Catwoman we've ever got. Michelle Pfeiffer, that leather outfit that looks stitched together. Ah, I love that outfit. I think it's the best Catwoman outfit we've ever gotten. And I don't think we've even tried that again. We tried to do other versions of Catwoman, but I mean, that she is so good looking in that leather, that black leather, skin tight leather, and just her performance, meow, just the way she does like those lines and everything. It's a great Catwoman. It's a great Penguin, I think. So that really helps the movie. My problem, I'm going to say this with this in the first Batman movie, I think Michael Keaton was a very miscast Batman. I don't think he's very good at the part. And I think when I rewatch it, I don't like it as much as I used to because Michael Keaton should never have been Batman. I like Michael Keaton. But he's more of a comedic actor. He's done some drama work recently, and he's actually a good dramatic actor. But early on, he's really this comedic actor. I think he's a stand-up comedian, maybe, or a sketch comedian, maybe Second City or something. And then he does like Beetlejuice, Kung Ho, Mr. Mom. I mean, a lot of great comedies early on. And then he's Batman. And Batman is this very tough, big, should be pretty muscular guy that you can believe can beat people up. And if you rewatch it, it's like Michael Keaton's just not big enough to play Batman. He just needs to be bigger. That's why you need to get an action guy in there that's buff, and jacked and can really. And that's why we've had better Batman since with, I think especially Christian Bale. I thought was great. I think even Ben Affleck was good. I mean, there's been some good Batmans. It's just he kind of, I don't know, takes out the reality for me. Overall, also you got Christopher Walken is great as the kind of villainous mayor. It's also a really good performance. So yeah, I got Batman Returns here. See, number 7, I've got Batman. So I got the two Batmans. It was hard. I had to put them both right in a row because they're both kind of the same issues I have and same praises. And this was cool. This was the first live-action Batman movie we've had since Adam West back in the 60s, whatever. And so I remember this being a big deal when this came out in like the 80s, and it was a huge blockbuster, made a lot of money. And the new design of the character was very interesting, very dark. Of course, Tim Burton. And Tim Burton, very, I would say almost an odd choice to do Batman. Like, why would you pick Tim Burton out of anybody? Because he's not an action director necessarily. He's, like I said, more of a dark comedy director, mostly. And then Michael Keaton as Batman, such a weird choice for Batman. I don't think that works out at all for me, as I already mentioned. That's probably the worst part of the movie. Not that he gets a bad performance acting-wise, just he doesn't look the part. And when he's in the Batsuit, it's like, oh my gosh, he looks too small. Maybe I'm just nitpicking, but that was my feeling on the movie. But we do get a good Joker with Jack Nicholson, giving a very good campy performance. That actually works very well for the character, though. I don't think it's the best performance. I still give Heath Ledger is the best Joker we've ever had. But at the time, that was, Jack Nicholson is one of the greatest actors, too. But that was really cool seeing Jack Nicholson as the Joker, and definitely the highlight of the movie. I think it's his performances. Action-wise, it's not that great of an action movie, I would say, looking back. When I watch it, it doesn't work as well as, like I said, The Batman Begins. I think it's the best Batman movie ever and has the best action overall, but that's me. But yeah, it's still a decent watch, and it was a big movie at the time, so I have it here at number 7. So what might surprise you here, at number 6, I have Mars Attacks. This is more of a guilty pleasure of mine. I saw this twice in the movie theater, and when I was younger, I don't know if I was in high school or junior high, when it came out, and I thought this was a really funny movie, and it's kind of a fun take on aliens invading, and are they going to be nice to us? Or are they going to be bad? And it feels like they're going to be nice at first, but then they turn to be total bad, and they try to kill everybody. these little green aliens. And this had one of the best casts I've ever seen. It's like a who's who of cast members. I think Natalie Portman's in here, young Natalie Portman, maybe, if I remember right. I know I don't have the list in front of me. I'm trying to do this all by memory. But Jack Nicholson plays two different parts here. And yeah, I think Martin Short's in here, maybe. Pierce Brosnan's like in here. Jack Black, like a young Jack Black before he became famous, is in here, which is still shocks me every time I see it. I think Michael J. Fox is in here. It's just crazy how many famous people, well-known people are in this movie. I think Tom Jones shows up at the end. I don't know. I think it's funny they attack and then they have to defend themselves against these aliens that are much more powerful than them. And I think Jack Nixon gives a pretty funny performance as the president. They kill all of Congress, and he says, well, we got two legislations or two branches of the government still around, and 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Some great lines like that in the movie. Again, this is definitely just a hot take for me. I bet a lot of people wouldn't put Mars Attacks as high. I don't know, it's just a personal favorite of mine. And I love that the yodeling makes their heads explode. I thought it was very funny. Also, the movie takes place in Kansas, and they shot in Kansas. And I've been to some of the places where they shot some of that movie here close to where I live. Actually, not too far from where I live right now. They shot parts of the movie Mars Attacks, anyways. I think in Burns, Kansas, I believe, which is, not too far. So that's a cool aspect to that. Like, oh, it's Kansas, all that. Anyways, I don't know. So I have it number 6 here. Number 5, I've got Big Eyes. I thought this was a really interesting true story. It's not the most Tim Burton-ish movie. It's like a true story. It doesn't have a lot of the weird quirkiness that a lot of movies do. It feels like just a straight kind of drama movie, which I think really works well for Tim Burton. The only weird things is like it's a true story about Amy Adams plays this, and I can't remember the name of the character, but an artist who has this very famous painting where she paints this girl with really big eyes. That's why it's called Big Eyes. Is the painting, anyways, and it's a very haunting kind of painting, and it kind of took off and made a lot of money. And she made a lot of paintings with children with big eyes, I guess, and it was just something anyways. So the only strange part of it is they do have moments where the girls with the big eyes come to life, I think, in the movie. Like she sees like a dream of them coming to life. So there's, that's only the weirdness that you get out of it. Besides that, it's actually just a straightforward kind of interesting drama, true story that I didn't know that her husband said that the drawings were his. So he stole kind of, because they were married and people he was an artist as well, but they liked her paintings better than his. But he pretended that they were his paintings anyways. And so he, fraud, I guess. But since they were married, I guess she let it go at first, but then eventually she couldn't, and eventually she had to take him to court and prove that those paintings were hers and not his, which is very interesting story overall that I didn't know about. And good cast, of course, with Amy Adams, my favorite actress of all time. It was a really well done story, very interesting ending, very satisfying ending as well. So really good job there, Big Eyes. Number 4, we got Beetlejuice. Yeah. Again, might be a hard take. I really like this movie. This is a recent movie, and it's obviously the sequel of Beetlejuice that came out a long time ago. And they did the remake, Beetlejuice, and I was not expecting to care about this movie at all because I didn't think I cared that much about the first one. And then I saw this, and I just thought it was so funny. I love the design of mostly the afterlife. I love the scenes in the afterlife. I love how they design all of that. The set design is so good. The costuming and makeup work is so good. And I just love Beetlejuice, the character. And here he's more of a good guy, I think, for the most part. In the first movie, he was kind of a villainous character. Here he does maybe a little bit of villainous, but mostly he's good. But what I love about the character is how he's always making jokes. He's always pretending, and he can do anything. I guess I like about the characters because he can pop up at any time. He has almost this like unlimited magical power just popping up as a character. Like there's one scene where these two characters, go through this room, and he shows up as a marriage counselor and starts pretending to be a marriage counselor. And he starts doing this whole marriage counseling thing. And I don't know, it was very funny. It's just like he can just pop up and do anything he wants. And the creativity of that character, because it seems like his abilities are so unlimited that you can make him do anything you want. And those scenes are so good. Yeah, as far as the sequel, story-wise, I don't know if it's the greatest story, but again, it just comes down to I thought it was actually a pretty funny movie, and I do like some of the story elements of it, like the Willem Dafoe character is like a detective on this case, but he's really not a detective. He was an actor who played a detective when he was alive, and then we also found stuff like Beetlejuice was a gravedigger, and then he married this girl who then killed him. And now this ex-wife is out to get him again, and he has some funny quips about ex-wife coming after him, really good stuff. And I think one of the best scenes ever is he does try to marry I don't know if he tries to marry Winona Ryder's character again, but they do this whole scene in the wedding chapel where they see MacArthur Park, the whole MacArthur Park movie, where he has this magical ability of making people like lip sync to songs, another just out there ability that he gets. Man, that was such a fun scene. Them singing McCarthy Park and all the characters doing like dances, and he's manipulating them to do all this stuff. And I think they're even floating in the air at one point. I don't know. I just had so much fun with this movie. Again, it might not be this far on most people's list. It's just personally, I don't know. I just really enjoyed it. So that's Beetlejuice at number 4. All right, so number 3, we got a movie that I just actually bought recently, so I had to go grab this. But this is Pee-wee's Big Adventure. I got on Criterion Collection at Barnes & Noble's. And yeah, this one that I just kind of watched recently, and it really shot up my list. This is Tim Burton's very first movie, and I just watched also Paul Rubin's, he's got a documentary on HBO Max about, I forget what it's called, but it's about Paul Rubin and Pee-wee and all that. And they talk about this movie, of course, and that he picked Tim Burton. He never directed a movie before. He just did the short Frankenweenie, and how it really worked. This, how Pee-wee, this kind of kid, would become a kid television show, person, to make this really weird, unique, quirky movie, very dark at times. And yet it really worked, and Tim Burton worked. And it's a comedy, and it's very funny. Like, this is what really got me. That's why it's so high on my list at number 3. Oh my gosh! Because at first I thought, I remember liking this when I was a kid. Definitely worked, but even now watching it, there's some really clever lines in this movie that Pee-wee does. Pee-wee's he's a very silly character, but yet there's some great stuff like the Alamo. There's no basement at the Alamo. I say that all the time. Anytime I talk about the Alamo, I have to talk about there's no basement in the Alamo. I don't know why that makes me laugh so much. But I love all the characters he meets during this. And it's this stupid story of him just losing his bike, and he's trying to figure out who took his bike. He loves his bike so much. And so he's on this trip to find his bike anyways. And so he meets all these characters along the way. And then I love at the end, he brings all the characters back and I love the ending where they make a movie about Pee-wee, and they make it like this James Bond action movie. Oh my gosh, it's so funny. Such a neat idea. And like I said, I love that they bring all the characters back. So it's kind of a fun movie in that sense. And even the last part where he's on the bike and he's being chased and he's going through all these sets in Hollywood. What a great scene as well. Anyway, so yeah, it's way better than I remember it being, and so good that I put it at number 3. I think it's actually a very clever comedy anyway. So number 2, I got Big Fish. It's funny, we got big eyes and we got big fish. Yeah, I really like this movie. And this, I wasn't a big Tim Burton fan, but I remember watching this going, this might be his best movie. I have one movie above it now, but for a while, this was my favorite Tim Burton film. Starring Ewan McGregor here as the main character. The story is this guy who's dying is talking to his son, and he's told his son all these tall tales. Like he caught a big fish, like is one of the tall tales he tells. Not just a big fish, like a giant fish. And he was like Jonah and the whale fish or something. And so he told all these stories, these fantasy stories to his son. And his son, when got older, kind of resented his father because he felt like his father lied to him, that he told him all these stories that didn't really happen. Anyways, through the movie, we see all these stories play out that he's told his son throughout the years, I guess. And so you do have this very fun fantasy adventure story with Ian McGregor at the lead, and yeah, a lot of cool moments. I think he joins like a circus at one point. I think he meets a giant. He gets stuck in a town where he can't leave. I think at one point he falls in love. There's a really good love story. He falls in love with this girl. Oh, he's like in war, I think, and he meets Siamese twins, and yeah, there's all these really interesting stories. And Ewan McGregor's great. I thought such a likable character, and very fun, and just very nice to everybody. Just you really like this guy, and just seeing him go through these different adventures was so fun. And then I guess what really makes it, at the end, the guy passes away, but at his funeral, you see all these people who are the characters that he talked about. So he didn't totally lie. I think he expanded the truth maybe of his adventures when he was younger. But you do see like the really tall guy. It's like, oh, that's the giant that he talked about. Or you do see Siamese twins. You go, oh, those are the Siamese twins, and stuff like that. So it's like they're all real characters in this guy's story that he elaborated and told these. Anyways, so it's actually kind of a cool moment at the end where you go, okay, because you don't know, is he lying? Did these things really happen to him? And at the end you go, it kind of maybe happened to him. I don't know. It was just a really fun story, I think, in my opinion. So I love the fantasy element of it anyway. So yeah, Big Fish, number 2 on my list. So leaves one more movie. If you haven't paid attention, maybe you remember what I've left out. And number 1, I have Sweeney Todd, The Demon Barber of Fleet Street. I'm a big musical fan. This is the only musical that Tim Burton did, and I really liked the musical. I've heard of it, but wasn't super familiar with it until this came out, and then I listened to the soundtrack, I think, first, and I love the music. The music is so good. And here we got Johnny Depp again. Johnny Depp playing lead Sweeney Todd, and he got an Oscar nomination for it. Well deserved, I think. Really great performance. I even like his singing. I think he has a band, but I don't know. He's more of a rock singer, maybe, Johnny Depp. But his voice, it was different than the theatrical. If you watch the theatrical, of course, the theatrical performance is a little bit different than what he gives. But I think I like his difference here. I think it's actually not bad at all. But yeah, great performance there. Helen Bonham Carter, really great as Mrs. Lovett, the pie shop owner. She's another one who's in all of Tim Burton's movies, and she does a great job here. Alan Rickman is so good as the villain, Judge Turpin. Another great performance by Alan Rickman. What a great actor he is. You got Timothy Spall is great here. Sacha Baron Cohen is also very good in his small role, I guess. Anyway, so yeah, really good performance here. I think the music is absolutely fantastic. I mean, the scene where he picks up his razors for the first time in a long time and sings that song, "These are my friends, look how they glisten." It's such a great song, and just him just talking to his razors like they're real, like a real person, not inanimate object. I love that so much. And him trying to get revenge for what Judge Turpin did to him and his family. I love the revenge aspect of it. And even the aspect that he goes into a very dark place and he doesn't recover, which I think it's sad and tragic, but yet he deserves what happens to him because he does some pretty bad stuff, even Sweeney Todd. So he's the hero, but he's not a good person. He's actually a serial killer, but yet he's your hero of the story, and you want to see him get revenge for what Judge Turpin did to him, for sure. And in fact, I'm spoiling anything, but when he does get Judge Turpin at the end of the movie, oh my gosh, what a satisfying kill. Very bloody. Lots of slits, lots of throats being slit, lots of blood. It has a bit of the horror aspect to it, the musical horror kind of dark movie. Perfect for Tim Burton. Tim Burton was so perfect for this movie. The design is so good. The costuming, makeup, so good. I mean, yeah, it's just one of those perfect combinations of Tim Burton's style with a popular musical that actually worked very, very well, I think. And I think it's just because I'm I wasn't even that big a fan of the movie when I first saw it, because it is very, very dark. It's very disturbing at times. It's very not happy. It's not a happy ending, to be honest. But yeah, over time, as I've watched this movie, I just been more and more in love with it. I love the music so much. I think that's what really puts me over at putting this at number one, is that I will listen to that music over and over again. And in the great performances and the great style of it works so well. So that's why number one, we got Sweeney Todd, Demon Barber, Fleet Street, my favorite Tim Burton movie. So that's my ranking of the 20 Tim Burton movies that he's directed. Please feel free to comment. What is your favorite Tim Burton movie or least favorite? I'd love to see your list. Besides that, thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you for liking it. And thank you to all my subscribers for supporting the channel. I appreciate you all.